if you talk about head coaching mattering in the NFL, just 2 years ago, it doesn't it feel like forever ago? Urban Meyer was the head coach, and the Jags had lost double-digit games in 10 of 11 seasons. Trevor Lawrence was a mess. Urban was bouncing around in Columbus with his finger on someone's butt. All of that nonsense. Here we are now 2 years later. Doug Peterson is the man. The Jags had an incredible comeback in the playoffs last year. They're the favorites to win the division, and Trevor Lawrence looks like he's the next big star in the NFL. That was just 2 years ago.
All right, let's cool our jets here. Let's stop pumping up the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm sick of it. All right, so I get it. I'm a Titans fan, but we've got to chill with the Jags for like just a second, because I think the turnaround was so stark that a lot of people are on board with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And it's hard not to be, because not only did they get a new head coach, it's a good head coach. So it was a huge upgrade going from Urban Meyer, who couldn't do anything, didn't even know who Derrick Henry was. They're like, who's that guy? Maybe you should do some research on him. He was pretty good in his time in the NFL. But then you go to Doug Peterson, who is known as a quarterback whisperer, who's been doing great things with Trevor Lawrence. And also, the Jags opened up the checkbook. Remember when they made all these splashy moves and paid all these receivers a lot of money? Christian Kirk got the bag. Calvin, really, bless his heart, he's been trying to get the bag from his sports book, but hasn't been the case. But still, they have made some big time moves to try to make this team better. And I think that is the things that you hang your hat on for the Jags. Is the passing offense is going to be really good. The receivers are good. So you have a chance in a passing league that is the NFL. I think there are still question marks for the Jags. Like, the offensive line isn't, the best. So, like, there are still question marks. So I think to be minus 155 in the division is a little rich for me, especially since the Titans have been pretty solid against the Jags in years past. Like, if you remember all of those highlights from Derrick Henry stiff-arming people, it's usually against the Jags. So I like the Jags, but I don't like them as much as this line indicates. Now, Zach Moss has broken his arm. We know that Jonathan Taylor is amidst some mudslinging when it comes to the running back situation in Indianapolis with Jim Irsay. How do you think this gets resolved? Do you think this gives Jonathan Taylor more leverage now that one of the running backs is down for at least a little bit?
A little bit. Honestly, if it were anyone but Jim Irsay, I would probably say yes. But now these two sides are playing games with each other. So one Colts insider says Jonathan Taylor has a back injury he suffered in the offseason. Now Jonathan Taylor's on Twitter saying, no, I've never reported back pain. Get new sources, find new sources. And now the Colts are saying, well, I tell you what, if you're not playing, we'll just put you on the non-injury list, and then we can deny you your $4 million salary this season, except that you can't just put somebody on the non-football injury list just because. They actually have to have something going on. It's some sort of thinly veiled threat. I'm not quite sure what the crux of it all is. It just comes down to the fact that Jonathan Taylor wants more money. Jim Irsay is not going to give it. So these two sides are going to go back and forth until someone wins, but it's going to be Irsay and the Colts. There's nothing Jonathan Taylor can do.
Tough tickets for NFL running backs these days. Yeah. Seems to be the theme of this offseason. But I'll say this, in a betting standpoint, it makes me want to put more money on whatever the rushing prop is for Anthony Richardson. Of these, Jenks, who do you think made the correct moves?
I want to say Angels. I want to go with the Angels so badly here. And just because of the value. Again, you're looking at 6-1. I don't know. The Angels are interesting in that they obviously have show. Mike Trout is going to come back, okay? So they're winning right now. They're 11-5 in their last 16 since the All-Star break. They're keeping Shohei. Mike Trout's going to return. Lucas Giolito, when he's on his game, certainly has Cy Young caliber stuff. 6-6 this year, 3.79 ERA. He's inconsistent. I get that, but he does make them better. And Reynaldo Lopez is a guy that I think can be better than people anticipate, could really help them and their middle relief. I know it's kind of not off the books. No one's going to go with the Angels because they do this every year. They have the talent. They never make the postseason. I'm going to go Angels.
I think there are some teams worth a swing when it comes to the big plus money to make the postseason, because we talked about this at the top of the show, how you would think that where you stand at August 1st is pretty much an indicator of how your season is going to go.
Yeah.
But only 72% of eventual division champions held at least a share of their division lead on August 1st, which you say to yourself, okay, 72%, that's a pretty big chunk. But for, a month left of the season, the fact that there's still a 30% chance that somebody's going to win the division when they don't have a share of the lead is pretty wild to me, especially with some of these division races pretty tight. Like, we have several division races that are within 3 games. So it's basically anybody's game when it comes to winning some of these division races and even winning the World Series. 15 of 26 World Series winners since 1996 led their divisions entering on August. So only 15 of 26. And that's just to lead their division. So it's saying 2 things. It's saying that it's not too late for some of these teams. And also that you don't necessarily have to lead your division to win a World Series. So Jenks, do you see any of these dark horses? Do you think anybody fits this mold of a team who, isn't in contention for their division, isn't in contention, to maybe win their division at the end of all things, but you can come through the wild card. We see it every single year where a team gets hot down the stretch.
Yeah.
You saw it with the Nationals, the Phillies last year. Do you think the Angels fit that mold?
Maybe. At 6-1, I think yes. But outside of that, I'm not quite sure how I feel about it.
Let's go to week 1 of the NFL. PJ, you already have a bet for Bills and Jets?
Guys, I do. I know, Chelsa, it's my favorite play of week 1, and I wouldn't give it out to the people if I didn't love it, but I love it, guys. Take the Buffalo Bills minus 120 on the money line against the Jets, and I'll tell you why. Look at the NFL the past couple of years, okay? Look at the teams that have won the offseason, right? You had the Browns a couple of years ago with Odell Beckham Jr. They won the offseason. Everybody was hyping up the Bills or hyping up the Browns. What did they do? They lost week 1 to Chelsea's Tennessee Titans. What about the Bucs, right? When they got Tom Brady, week 1, they won the offseason. They lost to the Saints. Last year it was Denver. They won the offseason. Everybody was so excited to see Russell Wilson and the Broncos. What'd they do week 1? They lost to the Seahawks. Well, who's the team of the offseason, guys? We know it's the Jets. They got Aaron Rodgers. They're on Hard Knocks. Everybody's excited. You remember what Buffalo looked like to start last season? You remember what they looked like when they went up against the Rams, when they went up against the Titans in those first 2 games? The Bills tend to be a wagon to start the season. I don't think this year is going to be any different. And I like fading the Jets, who are the team that has won the offseason. People are loving the Jets. The Jets have controlled the futures markets. Everybody's on them to win the AFC East. They're on them to win the AFC, the Super Bowl. Fade them week 1. The Bills are my favorite play. I love a minus 120.
Are you worried at all about the whole Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs? There's issues there based on how the season ended last year, or is that something that's been way overblown?
Yeah, Jenks, I think it's been way overblown. I think they'll be fine. Those guys are competitors, man. Diggs is a competitor. We know he wears his emotions on his sleeve. He'll be fine. At the end of the day, he wants to win. He wants to win bad. He knows that playing with the Bills gives him a great opportunity to do that. And Diggs is a big-time player, man. He's not going to want to miss week 1, Monday Night Football against the Jets, the team. I mean, this game, these guys know it's only week 1, but this game could go a long way in determining who wins the AFC East. So it's a massive game. Diggs is going to be out there. They're going to be fine. And, guys, I love the Bills. I love the Bills. I'm really shocked that this isn't like minus 2.5, minus 3. The fact we're getting this at only a minus 1.5, I wouldn't mess around with that. I just take the money line. There's nothing worse than taking a 1.5, and your team only wins by 1. So lay the juice, take the Bills, and I think they got a great shot of winning that game.